Hey everybody, how you doing? It's day 2 and episode 2, I guess, of the PDG podcast with me, Peter Doak from PDG Advertising. So what we're doing is we're sharing the journey of PDG Advertising, and I've been taking down all the things that have been going on in the day and going through them here on this podcast, and it's been really cool to go through them and actually really cool to take a moment and take down everything that's going on, because when you do that you really start to see how much you're doing and it gives you an opportunity to reflect on those things. The first thing that happened today was what I've written down here is a bad experience in Starbucks. My cup was overflowing, and it's very much a first world problem, this. But recently, every Wednesday, I've been traveling to the drive-through Starbucks and getting myself and our relatively new start, but he's been with us for 2 months, Anthony. He's our digital advertising associate, does a specialism in design for PDG Advertising, and I go to Starbucks and I get us a coffee each, cappuccino and an Americano. And Anthony's Americano always, it never spills, but the Americano that I get, for some reason, they fill it right up to the brim. I ask for it with milk and they fill it right up to the brim. And whenever I'm walking with it and the cappuccino, it starts to spill, ruins the experience of the coffee. It's more hassle than it's worth. And today in the drive-thru I asked him, could you please not fill it up the whole way to the brim, because I need to walk with it and it's going to spill and overflow. I felt a bit bad asking for that, but I didn't feel the guy listened to me at all. I didn't feel that he really took that in. And sure enough, whenever I got it, it was filled right up to the brim. And it did spill everywhere and it did go everywhere. I said to the guy when he handed it to me, I said, listen, why do you do that? You're putting all of the liquid in there in the world. There's no need to fill it up that much. If someone moves, it's spilling over the sides and ruining the cup and ruining people's hands, and it's just such a bad experience. And normally I wouldn't really say anything, but whenever I've asked for it specifically, don't fill it up, and it's likely the same guy that took the order that just ignored what I had said, and I thought he had ignored it as well. So when I said that, the guy was very apologetic and says, let me pour some of it out. It's like, no, it's too much. That's, again, too much hassle and it's worth. Just try not to do it again. It's quite harsh, but I said for next time, just try to not fill it up so much, because it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And I mean, the only reason that you're going to buy a £3 coffee or £2.50 coffee is for the pure experience of it, isn't it? It's not really any different than the instant coffee that you can make in the house. So I then moved on from that experience, and sure enough, the coffee was spilling everywhere as I was walking up the road. I don't think it's just because I have a wobble in my walk. I think it was spilling everywhere because it wasn't. But the worst thing about it was whenever I looked at the cup had 3/4 written on it, only fill up 3/4. So I guess that other people have asked for this, but for some reason this guy just completely not decided not to do it. I don't know why, but I didn't come away very happy with that, and I don't think I'm going to go there again. And that's not just a thing to say. I really don't think I'm going to go to that drive-thru again. And it's interesting, that particular drive-thru has been bought over. There's been a Tim Hortons moved beside it, and it's doing really well. I can see it always busy, whereas Starbucks isn't so busy right now. And I don't know what has happened in that chain of command that you can't get something like that right. Why would you even fill it up that much in the first place? Why would you have someone needing to say it? And whenever they do say, why would you then not take action? And why would you not, make sure that they got what they wanted. Terrible experience, and something that I'll remember for a while, and try to do the reverse of in PDG advertising, and try to do something that provides a great experience for people instead of one that leaves them talking on a podcast about how terrible it was. Again, it's hardly as bad as the vast majority of people's plights in this world. But if I relate it to my own business, if you're doing something for someone, let's do it right, and let's not, when they ask for something, do the complete opposite of what they say. Today, the first order of business, whenever we're not getting upset at global coffee chains for their coffee pouring procedures, was Anthony and I were creating an email. Anthony more than myself were creating and going through quality checks of an email template that we're working on for a very valued customer. They're all valued, but this customer has asked us to develop up a new email template for them. So our process in that is to create it up in InDesign and then have someone that we know to then build it in MailChimp. And that process has been great. It's been one that we've been able to work on and create something that's pretty beautiful for the client and something that we're really proud of. So we've sent that off today, and we're going to see what the client thinks of it and see if there are any amends, and then get it built up in MailChimp and ready to go off to that customer's customers. Something that we've been trying to do at PDG Advertising has been to get our messaging out there and get our visibility up across our networks. Something that I'm very passionate about. It just happens though that whenever you're doing something, I'll describe it, and I don't even know if this is true. I've been saying it for so long that it rhymes off in my brain, but that a painter's house is always destroyed, but the houses that they paint are pretty beautiful. I've always felt that's how it's been with our business. I don't feel our online advertising platforms are vibrant, bustling, or live enough, and I don't think I will until we're rivaling some big companies. But that excuse is not enough. The painter's one, where the painter's house is not up to scratch, but everybody else's that he's doing is. What that means in short is that our social presence ain't great, but the people that we look after are. I mean, I don't know, the number of people that we advertise to goes into the millions on a weekly basis, and that's directly through email, through Facebook, through ads, through Google. It goes to a high amount of people, but really the amount of people that PDG gets in front of as PDG advertising is really, really small. So we're working hard to develop content up that gets out there, and today felt kind of easy, but it was a lot of curated content. So behind the scenes, we're going to start that process of developing up really nice content to get out there to our channels, start growing our presences, and really build up our database of people that are interested in what we do. Because without that, what are we really, and what are we really trying to do? So that's a really big thing. This week we've been able to, or today we've been able to post out a couple of curated items about a lot from Gary Vaynerchuk actually. Gary Vee is a big inspiration to this business, and we've shared some content from himself. Also a very creepy Boston Dynamics video of a dog robot that is pulling along a truck, and it's just a window into the future. It's just the window into whenever you look out of your window and you see the Blade Runner type scenario of flying cars and things like that, and automation and things moving quicker than you can see them. But yeah, our social posting is something that we're really working on, and something that we hope to build, and something that we hope to be very proud of very soon. Something that I spent maybe a couple of hours on today was we mentioned yesterday, if you were following, about the school system in South Africa that we do advertising for. So we were talking about the consolidation of adverts instead of having 14 presences all with their own adverts blasted out to 14 different areas, having one advert again blast out to 14 different areas. We did that, and we're trying to understand why some areas are getting more exposure and more success than other areas. So by 2 hours today, there were about 2 hours today that we're focused in on trying to work out how far away one school is in South Africa to another school, in order to make sure that the radiuses that we're choosing doesn't overlap too much, and that we're just getting a 5 kilometre catchment area for each school. But what that meant was individually going in and locating each different school in Facebook ads, which is I'm nearly sure it's driven by Here Maps, which is a Microsoft product, but then cross-referencing it over with the daddy of maps, Google Maps. As an aside note, I love maps, and this was a joy of a task, but it was kind of crazy sitting here in Belfast going, all right, so this school is 10 kilometres north of Johannesburg, and this is the N1 and the N14, and it lives that school is somewhere in there. You know what? Who am I to suggest anything to Facebook or Google? But I think they should probably use Google Maps for the targeting on Facebook. I'm sure it has to be more accurate than the Here product from Microsoft, but hey, that's how it was, and either way, it allowed me to basically play with maps for a couple of hours, but all to the quality and the value of making sure that we're getting the adverts to the right people, and not double bombarding people in the right areas, but not the right areas for certain schools. So another thing that we were doing today was we're helping a customer revamp their website, and it's coming down to the final stages of getting it developed, and there's a little bit of back and forward about the product page. So it's an e-commerce customer. It's a really interesting because it's a B2B stroke B2C kind of customer. Actually, it's very much B2B, but the website and the look and feel of it are appealing to B2C in terms of being able to, make purchases really quickly. And also, I guess any consumer could. It's usually the business sells staging and lighting equipment for businesses that do concerts and churches and schools and things like that all over the United States, Canada, and the Middle East. So the thing is, the way that industry, and I guess many industries are going, is that we're now making it easy for wholesalers like this business to sell to individuals through the power of the internet. So if there is a warehouse of products that could be sold to a consumer that doesn't cost any extra or adds value to their overall business, then why not? So we're merging those two worlds in this one website. But what it's doing is it's causing a little bit of back and forward about how do you make it so that people can add items to a quotation page, or how do you make it so that they can buy now. So having gotten over all of that and figured out the functionality, now we're down to making sure that the layout matches the design that we created and the design that was created before. It's a very important point as well. Developing up a website without a strong design to back it up with and to work from. Basically like building a house without architectural plans, and a very, very bad idea in my opinion. But what happens sometimes is things can creep in just because time goes on and customers want more things and they want to do the best job for their customer. So what we're doing there is we are making sure that the end product landing page and product page is as good as it can possibly be. So what I meant today was drawing up some off-spec designs on my whiteboard of what you would call rough mock-ups and wireframes to get it over to the developer and client, and just to make sure that we were both on the page. And it was really cool. We did it in Asana. I've mentioned it before, the task management software. So the discussion was going on in the task online, collaboratively, in 3 different parts of the world. The developer is in London, I'm here in Belfast, and the customer is in Las Vegas, Nevada. And a little input of that picture seemed to get everybody focused around the same point, and we were able to get back to making sure that the design and the development had a very professional looking sheen, and we're looking forward to getting that website developed up and published for new customers. The whole point of revamping that website is to drive more business. It's a very successful business, but I feel it could be much more successful because the previous website that it had, not very strong and not very good. So that's something that we're doing. I think a lot of today's podcast and today's theme has really been about attention to detail. It's really important, and it's something that we're going to work hard to do really well. I think it's a differentiator of quality. Attention to detail, very, very important. Another customer we have in the UK, it's a luxury homewares brand, and it part of what we do for this brand is Google Shopping campaigns, and the Google Shopping campaigns are just hot right now. Whenever you're looking for something on Google and our shopping adverts come up in your eye line and you click on them, it's really strong for the business. But something really interesting is happening with those adverts. We are seeing, and this is a really important point whenever you're doing adverts, you don't always know, you can't always go by the last click attribution. So what sometimes you can do is you can connect up your AdWords to your e-commerce system, and it can tell you whether or not you've been successful in making sales. So you can see how many sales and what the value of those sales were. But sometimes what happens is the journey of the customer, they might click on your Google Shopping ad and they might purchase right away, and that's great. But in reality, that doesn't always happen. The key to understanding the overall value of an advert is to understand its place in the customer journey that people have to go on in order to make a purchase with you. People maybe see your shopping ad, go to the website, have a look, aren't ready to purchase just there and then, until they maybe have come across your advert a couple of times, or maybe they signed up for your email address. So the initial advert is probably is very important in the overall path, but it might not be the thing that directly causes success. So we've been looking at indirect and assisted value conversions on Google, and it's really interesting to see that if you looked on face value at the adverts, the shopping adverts, they have a return on investment of maybe 1. So for every $1 spent, you get your $1 back, which isn't good, and it's not something that we work to for our customers. But then whenever you look at the assisted conversion value ROI, the return on spend is about 3 to 4 times. So that is interesting, and that's really strong. So while we are at the start of our journey with this customer, if we didn't look at the overall journey, and if we didn't look at the assisted conversions made by these adverts that we have created, it could look like our adverts hadn't been very effective, but they really are, and that's something that we have identified, that it's not just about one particular piece of the puzzle, because those initial adverts are really important. The email that goes out to someone reminding people that you still exist is really important. The email, the retargeting advert that you do to remind people on Facebook that you still exist is really important. That journey of advertising in 2019 is so important, and it's crucial to how a customer is actually going to take the action that you want on a business. Something that I find really useful to quickly take pictures of things on the internet of examples of things or ideas for things is the Microsoft Snipping tool. Just thought I'd share that with everyone and say I've come across people who don't use it and can't use it. And if you want to take a screenshot, a lot of people know how to take a screenshot. I think it's hit print screen on the keyboard, on a Microsoft keyboard, but it prints the whole screen as far as I can remember. The snipping tool can just select out a little bit of your screen, and even I think it can actually do a lasso type crop on your screen as well, so that you can create a little picture from something. It's a huge time saver. It's something that I don't think I could live without, and I'd love to share those little things that we use with you. But the Microsoft snipping tool, very, very important to us. Today, we also finished off the strategy that we were creating yesterday for the social awareness video creation customer that we have, and it was a joy to create. In the way that we work, whenever we start with a customer, as I've said in our last podcast, we have a 2-week strategy. I call it 2-week strategy session, but it's something that we insist on, really, that we have 2 weeks to plan out what our next 3 months looks like, really. And that strategy session involves the customer journey, and it involves learning who we're trying to target and what type of journey that they go on in order to have them take action with the business. So what we'll do tomorrow, actually, at 6 p.m, is I'll run through the first part of the strategy delivery, and we'll get agreement on that. And then what we'll do next week is, between now and next week, we'll create some creatives and create their reporting structure, and we'll work out how they're going to meet the goals that they outlined in our discovery calls. And that will match up, what they should be doing across the next year to meet their goals. And that'll take us, and that'll get that customer as prepared as they possibly can be to be successful in their business using online advertising methods, the most up-to-date online advertising methods that are available. That's always changing too, so the kind of strategy that we do is always something that's in flux and always moving. But right now, I'm confident that the plans that we're creating are as up-to-date and as good as they possibly could be. One of the ending tasks that we had for customers today was creating some Google ads. We created them yesterday. This is for a customer that's kind of the equivalent of a Skyscanner, working basically for US flights, international and domestic US flights for customers in the US who really targeted US people to see if this business can save them money on their flights. And we're creating some Google ads for them, and we came into some problems with those Google ads. They immediately weren't approved. This can happen. All ads platforms have different levels of approval systems, and they're actually also done with artificial intelligence and automation. So there's a little bit of common sense lost. This company is a flight pricing compare site, really, and one of the words that we were using was United States in the descriptions of the text, and that was flagged up as a trademark issue with the company United Airlines. But I mean, that's where the common sense is completely lost. So the adverts that are being created they're not breaking any trademarks. It's the United States, not United Airlines. But the algorithm couldn't tell that. So what we do is we raise a ticket with the team. Nowadays we just go on live chat and talk it through with them. And a nice lady from Google called me back and said, Peter, these adverts have been approved and they're going to start delivering shortly. And this is a very common occurrence with so many industries, so many rules, so many changing rules. The advert approvals is something we get very familiar with the process of flagging disapproved ads. And again, if you didn't really know what you were doing with it, I guess you would think, oh, that's disapproved, I can't do advertising on Google, but it's not the case. It takes a little bit of tenacity and the ability to search for a solution that will help you to get your ads approved online. So we'll see how those adverts go for that customer, and we're looking forward to see them get a bunch of phone calls because of it. And the last thing that we have today is myself, Peter Doak, got an email today about getting a free LinkedIn premium account, and I've just activated it. So I'm pretty skeptical about this. I don't think that we should have to pay for the platforms that we use to be social on, even if it is a business platform. LinkedIn, if anything, is becoming more of a personal platform than, on a business platform. So I really don't think that we should have to pay to be on it, even for higher level services. The only higher level services that I can actually see right now that are there is that I can see who is looking at my profile, and honestly, it doesn't really matter to me who's looking at my profile. So it's not something that I look at regularly at all. But what I'll do is, if I find any value in it, and if I see any good coming from the LinkedIn premium account, it's a free trial until the 16th of May. Well, it's the 17th of May, but I've scheduled on my calendar to delete it because I'm assuming that it's going to add no value to my life or my business. But if it does, and if I'm proved wrong, I'll let you know, and I'll update it here on this exciting PDG podcast. So again, everyone, thanks so much for listening. I'm really pleased that this is the second episode. We've done other episodes before, but this is the second episode, and it feels really good. And it's 26 minutes at this point, coming up on half an hour, and it has felt like 5 minutes. Hopefully for you, it has felt relatively short as well. So I look forward to tomorrow's progressing a lot of these things and getting on with it. So again, share, comment, connect with me, Peter Doak, or our business pages for PDG Advertising. We would love to have a conversation with you about digital advertising, not just to get your business, but you might not, even have a business. You might be working in a business. You might just be interested in digital advertising. You might be, interested in business or thinking of starting your business, and all of those things are really important to us. You might just be interested in new technology and interested in learning new things. And in this day and age, it's really cool. There's so many avenues that you can learn from. So we'd love to enter into that journey with you. Thanks again for listening.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.